and welcome everybody back once again to the GT3 finals at the Hungaroring. I'm Mike Nause, and joined alongside me tonight is Saagar, Bakshi, and Saagar, we have an absolute thriller on our hands here tonight.
Yes, we do. At the Hungaroring circuit, it's going to be moist, it's going to be damp, it's going to be dark as ever around this 2.7 mile circus founded in 1986. But Mike, what are you most excited about for this championship standing?
Well, as Squashmonger in chat has aptly pointed out, cheering on Jeff Spangler, he is currently in a rivalry with none other than Quinn Smith. And Saagar, do you happen to know how many points are in between the two of them?
Zero.
0
points between the two of them.
They are tied going into the finals at the Hungaroring. Qualifying could not be any more important for this circuit. These drivers are going to be going at each other's throats, I would imagine. And Saagar, I cannot wait. But before we get into that action, let's talk briefly about the calendar that is, well, pretty much coming down to a close here. We do have, of course, the GT4 Rookie and GT4 Open conclusion. That'll be tomorrow night at the Nürburgring. Definitely one to tune into and one for the history books as well. Of course, we just had the West Coast Wednesday conclude as well as pretty much all of our championships coming down to a conclusion. But definitely get involved with our Discord for more announcements in the next year. We also, of course, have the Spooky Suzuki Livery Contest. Still, signups are available for that, and I highly recommend checking that out. It is not just a livery contest. It is also a 45-minute sprint race at Suzuka. But there is going to be voting on the best livery, and if you still would like to submit your livery, contact Neil Kerbal for more information. And if you want a livery commissioned as well, definitely Neil Kerbal is the man to talk to there. But Saagar, I think we've been bumbling on here and rambling on for long enough. Why don't we get down to the action that is here tonight?
Here we go, watching this 4-liter V8 twin turbo pushing around 720 horsepower around this damp circuit right now. This is none other than your boy Jeff Spangler driving the Madhouse Beans racing car. He is tied in the championship right now with Quinn Smith powering that V8 Aston Martin Vantage, and there he is pulling off right now. 13 minutes left in this qualifying session. This is absolutely going to be a nail biter, Mike. Like you said earlier, qualifying is going to be the most important thing, and we're seeing the drivers put everything they have out on the line. Only 1/10 separating between the two of them. Now, if that's not a nail-biting finale for you, I don't know what you expected.
No, this certainly could not have come down to a better conclusion. I mentioned it before the broadcast. If Jeff Spangler and Quinn Smith can qualify 1 and 2 tonight, we are in for an absolute thriller. And if they don't, that's the thing, is we're also just taking a look at previous results, right? Where Jeff Spangler, he had an absolutely abysmal qualifying last week, and qualifying in 9th, finishing the race in 11th. He used that as a drop round, and that is really what allowed him to be in the grips here with Quinn Smith tonight, allowed him to get into the real scraps, and we'll see what he can manage out there on circuit. The two of them already lined up side by side, but the one thing that I'm noticing though, Quinn Smith 5/10 off the mark as Jeff Spangler just set an absolute banging lap time.
Wow, what a steamer for sure. The 148.757 of Spangler really throwing down the gauntlet to show that he put in the practice for this event for sure. And for those of you that are saying, we'll drop around this, drop around that, we'll drop this down. A 9th round drop around for Quinn Smith, an 11 drop round for Jeff Spangler would still keep them separated by just a handful of points, less than 5 for sure in the championship. So even if we didn't have the drop rounds, the championship would be tight as ever. No, we wouldn't have a tie going into the finale, but it would be a nail biter for sure. And even one place would make or break these drivers' championship right now. So it is being thrown down. Quinn Smith, can he improve? He's out on track right now, right in front of Wilson Fernandez, it looks like, letting him go by as he was on a valid lap.
Oh, sorry. As I was going to say, Wilson Fernandez here. He is on a flyer. We have Quinn Smith, who is not on a flyer right now. He just began his outlap on what looks to be dry tires. Or no, that seems to be wet tires, actually, for Quinn Smith. I wasn't paying attention to that at the top of the qualifying, so I'm not completely sure who was on what and when the times were set. But looking at the track, It's kind of in a crossover. I feel that the standing water is going to allow these drivers to take the wet tires to the advantage out there. But Quinn Smith, I don't know if this is a gamble. I don't know if this is him just trying to make up a little bit more or if this is the strategy tonight. But 149.3 is his time to beat, and let's see if he can do it.
Well, if anybody was watching West Coast Wednesdays, we had an interesting strategy from none other than Jake Wells at Jake Wells Racing. He took dry tires, decided to not take a pit stop for tires himself, and was able to drive through the damp conditions into some greasy track and still managed to beat Ali Raza for the race win there. And so taking dry tires may not be the safest option, but perhaps in these very slippery conditions where it's just damp, we're not really wet yet, it could be an opportunity for one of these drivers to nail by some extra time and really put their pedal to the metal here, as Quinn Smith is definitely working that wheel like a lumberjack, going back and forth as he's trying to generate some form of heat and find out where the grip is on this track.
Yeah, he's not finding much of that, unfortunately, and he needs to find it sooner rather than later. The question is now, are the wet tires just not getting up to temperature, or are they too hot? I just also want to take a moment here to welcome everybody in chat that is along with us here tonight. Over on the YouTube side, we got Clementi, we got Jonathan Clifford, we got Arjun Lakshmi and Nara Simon joining us. Over on Twitch, we got Jumpy Whale, Adam Strange, Gil Silverin, who unfortunately cannot be out on track tonight, as well as Squashmonger joining us. Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning wherever you are in this fine world, and I hope you're just as excited as we are for this race tonight. Quinn Smith, what does he have for us as he comes to the line here, seesawing at the wheel in these wet conditions? It is going to be an improvement, but not enough for pole position.
Knocking down around 2/10 right there off of his best time. That is some improvement, but again, like you said, Mike, maybe he just hasn't generated enough heat in those wet tires just yet. He's got 8 minutes left to go. He might have fueled for the entire stint so far. So if he's done that, he's going to have at least one more or two more cracks at it, healthy cracks at it. But if he's generated too much heat in those tires already, he's going to have to come into the pit stops and get a new change of rubbers as fast as possible. And here's Jeff Spangler toting around the track right now. He's out on an outlap right now, just putting around, waiting to generate some heat into those wet tires that he's got on right now. He does have wets on. Yes, I believe that's true. Here's Thiago Dinarte, and the Brazilian driver around right now, and he's improving by just a couple of tenths right now, it looks like. A 49.362. He's about 6/10 off the pace of the leaders in front, but that's nothing to shake a stick at, as Mike Nause would say. The number 23 doing a great job toting around in this track, keeping that Mustang in a straight line right now, driving that V8 horsepower down as much as possible, and staying within track limits as well has got to be difficult for this hefty and mighty beast that is a Mustang.
Yeah, it's a hefty and it's a mighty beast, but one of its advantages is it has surprisingly good brakes. You know, that's one of the things. You look at this thing, you're like, oh, this thing doesn't stop that well. No, it's actually deceiving how well it is on these lower speed tracks. Even myself, I would think, as an American muscle car hater, I'll be honest, I am in that boat. This car is a much more nimble than it looks, and I think we'll be surprised. I mean, looking at the timing charts right now, it is third in the times and 3/10 ahead of Wilson Fernandez, his fellow countryman as well. So the other Brazilian out on track, not quite able to match the horsepower of the horse itself.
And Squashmonger mentioning Neil Kerbel's robbery on Wednesday. Yes, never forget Neil Kerbel's near win from last Wednesday. He was on pace ahead of an alien named Ali Raza. Could have won it himself, but just a couple of mistakes there will never be forgotten. Always in our hearts. Never forget Neil Kerbel, the champion of the people.
Very unfortunate. Definitely, you guys missed it. Head back to the YouTube channels. Check out that VOD for the heartbreaking finale that was the West Coast Wednesday. Well, heartbreaking for some, not so for others. We have some fun fact redemptions already, and I have one lined up and ready to go. Hungaroring was the first Formula One race ever held behind the Iron Curtain. So in the 1986 Grand Prix, F1 hosted a race here, making it one of the most significant races during the Cold War for Western race history, race history, I suppose.
Wow, that is a fun fact. Kevin Hughes actually out here to improve by almost half a second right now. He's down in 17th position, and he's gaining more time and momentum as time goes on. He's doing a great job. 151.7 being his fastest lap. around, but this half a tenth or 7/10, 8/10 improvement that he's putting down right now can very easily put him into the top 10 for sure. This could jump him all the way up next to Jake Terrell, in front of Anthony Kelly and Chandler Williams possibly. Kevin Hughes doing a great job navigating that car around, doing a good job of navigating this Lamborghini. Long leg Lamborghini, the 45, getting it to the line. Where does he end up falling? He does end up going into 11th, right behind Terrell. Couldn't keep it all to himself there. He had to let off a little bit of time coming through the final sector, but he's doing a good job of driving that one forward and finding himself in a position that he's probably going to be happy with as he pulls off and goes to the pit stop.
Yeah, certainly he shouldn't be too disappointed with the result at the very least. A P11 is nothing to be too ashamed of. Casey Schutte looking to improve one position here. Can he do it? He comes around the final corner complex now with the Trackalicious on the back wing. And the Reckless Racing GT3, the 444, currently sitting in 7th. Is there any improvement? No. That is going to be, I think, an invalid lap for Casey. He's going to have a couple more attempts to gain some time here. Quinn Smith, still not gaining any time himself. Still 3.5 tenths off the ball right now. And Jeff Spangler sitting on the pointy end of the spear for the time being. The MHR Beanhouse. Well, he's giving her the beans, and he is receiving, I don't know, spam. I don't know where I was going with that.
Giving and receiving spam. Okay. Quinn
Spam
Smith,
and beans
though,
is
moving.
great.
Spam and beans is not a bad delicacy. I will not take that away from him. Quinn Smith is slinking some time backwards and forward through Sector 1. He was up 2/10, lost it all coming through Sector 2, gaining it back through the end of Sector 2, it looks like, and through Sector 3. He seems to be gaining some momentum. He's got 3/10 in his pocket, losing a little bit through some of the corners right now, but gaining it back is a challenge, right? He just overbraked himself and cooked it just a little bit too much coming through the final corners, and now getting to the line. I don't think he's going to have anything to give. He's setting himself up for a nice run down towards T1 to try to get another lap in. He's got 4 laps under his belt right now. Hopefully he can get this 5th one in neatly and tidily now.
Yeah, and that'll be his real goal at the end of the day, is to get that lap underway. And he knows where he's improving. He knows where he can improve, to be honest. And that's one of the things that you need to look at when you're Quinn. Yes, that wasn't the greatest lap that he had on the previous, but he knows exactly what he needs to do on this lap. But I guess the real eking factor that I haven't mentioned is the fact that the rain has been constantly falling, and yes, these cars are hoovering up the water to a certain extent. The track conditions are not getting much easier, and that's also part of the reason that we're seeing these lap times not improving so much. It's not getting much worse, but it isn't getting better, and that's the problem, is we're just finding that little bit. Is, yes, sure, Quinn Smith made a mistake on that lap, and maybe it's going to be a mistake on a different part of the track that is a little bit wetter this time around. That's the unfortunate reality of wet weather racing, is the track is ever changing, and you just have to react to a certain extent.
Absolutely, you're right. And Quinn Smith, although he may have made a slight mistake there on that previous lap, his consistency has been almost identical to his best. 149.192 was his last lap around, 149.115 being his best. And Jeff Spangler cannot say the same. His last lap being a 149.1, his best being a 48.7. So a little bit of inconsistency there. And that's what you're really going to be looking for in one of these 80-minute endurance races, is consistency overall. That's the one thing you want to strive to see at all times. And we have the dark horse himself, Mr. Emirates, here.
Talk about consistency. We have the exact same lap time over the course of 2.7 miles, 4.3 kilometers. These two drivers are within biting distance of each other. Emirates absolutely making a mare of the back chicane, is going to have to try to improve that one on the next lap, but absolute stonking performance there. Emirates sort of out of nowhere. You mentioned the dark horse. Well, he certainly is. I didn't have him on my bingo cards here tonight for the P3, but is he going to spoil this party? Is he going to get in the middle of the battle between Quinn Smith and Jeff Spangler? He very well may, and he might just put a bit of a wrench in the equation these two drivers were not expecting.
Absolutely. Whoever's going to be in P2 stuck in front of Emirates is going to be really, really, really intimidated. Call Emirates Dale Earnhardt Jr. the Intimidator himself, because he's going to be scaring people into defensive lines, losing a lot of time, battling it out over and over again, and that should allow whoever's in P1 to walk away with the championship. Hopefully that is not the case, but we want to see some battling, and I think Emirates is here to deliver us some of that action. 43 seconds left in this qualifying session. The drivers getting to the line. We'll have one more crack at it. Some drivers on the back half of the circuit will not make it to the line in time, meaning their qualifying session has already been concluded once they cross the checkered flag.
Yeah, and Emirates, one thing, I thought you were talking about battling for first position. I'm not too worried about Emirates spoiling the battle in second. I'm more worried about him getting involved here with the first position battle and trying to take the lead. And I think this is going to add another element to this race that we weren't expecting, because Emirates is an extremely quick driver. We know that. Yes, he has had his incidents in racing, but certainly he is one that has improved a lot as well, and that's something that we cannot take away from him whatsoever, is his racecraft has gotten significantly better over the past few months, and I expect Emirates to be on the best behavior and performing at the alien level that you see in chat there from Saagar Bakshi.
Yeah, absolutely. He is an alien amongst himself, and his pace just dictates that respect that he's going to receive. The one thing I hope he is consistent about is the internet connection. Usually his internet connection is the one thing that drives him away from these epic battles out on track and making it to the finish line. Unstable internet connections due to wherever he is geographically in the world. I believe it is the UAE, so coming a long way across the pond over the United States servers. But that's one of the biggest things that I see Emirates failing in, is something that's out of his control. Getting a lot of those, red flags basically for mechanical or technical issues was what really cost him from even being a champion in this race right now, really, because he's had so many great performances when he has shown up, and then just one small technical error is what cancels all of his good into something that ended up being so wrong for him.
Yeah, exactly. And Emirates, he is, I'm sure, aware of that issue, and hopefully he can keep that under wraps, but it isn't his control, and you're right, that is something that is definitely going to play a role potentially. And is, I think there's a couple of ponds separating us, I suppose, if I'm not mistaken. But it's quite a bit of distance over the course of the planet, which is amazing. I'm glad to see everybody joining us, whether you're from Australia, whether from the UAE, or from the Americas, where we primarily host our races for the North and South American regions. Primarily North, but of course we still have a whole handful of Brazilian drivers that are out there on the grid and in chat and cheering on their favorite drivers as well. And as you can see, or rather maybe you can't see, it's night, Saagar.
It is dark. It is a little bit moist out there for the drivers, and I wonder if the track is actually going to stay wet right now, or if it's dried up just a little bit. I want to see what the forecast looks like. But right now I'm seeing 18 degrees temperature ambient, 18 degrees ambient, 18 degrees for the track and 18 degrees ambient as well. But I'm not seeing raindrops falling on my head. They're not falling on my head, but I can hear them pitter-pattering on the driver's hoods right now.
Yes, indeed. And Neil Kerbal mentioning 7,503 miles. That's the distance, I'm assuming, from presumably Chicago to the UAE. I think our servers are hosted in Chicago. I don't actually know where our servers are hosted. That is not my department, but you know what is my department, Saagar? Introducing these drivers. In fact, why don't we get down into that here tonight? Starting us off at the top, Jeff Spangler, tied for the lead of the championship with nobody else in this race other than Quinn Smith. Second and first, that is the battle between the two in the points, and that is the battle between the two on track right now. Emirates, will he get involved with this battle? Will he get in the midst of the action for the championship? Leave the number one car in P3 in the Ferrari. Kenneth Portis, the second, lining up in third position with the Honda NSX. The Rely on Red, as it says on the front, the Racer's Edge Motorsports, with Thiago Donarte in fifth. 5 different manufacturers in the top 5. You absolutely love to see it. Sixth position here belonging to the McLaren of the Vacuum Racing, 888 of Wilson Fernandez with Andre Alex Afonso Company in the 999 for P7. The 444 coming home in 8th. All the triple numbers are all within each other. You roll triples, I suppose you hit the jackpot or something, I don't know. Anyways, that's behind them is going to be Ramon Torres in 9th position for Puerto Rico, and rounding out your top 10 in the Ford Mustang GT3 is Chandler Williams.
Then we've got Jake Terrell, the number in 83 in 11th position. Following that is Christian Tenorio, and he is the number 77 in 12th place. Following that is Kevin Yu, the number 45 in 13th position. Rogerio Santos, the 177 in 14th place. Anthony Kelly from FNM, the number 7 in 15th position. Alex Hansen, the 390 in 16th. Hunter Davis, the number 70 in 17th place. Professor Kanotis, the number 42 in 18th. Jan Stam in the number 100 in 19th place. Phil Lee rounding out the top 20, the number 79 in 20th position.
Eric Gukassin coming home in 21st for the Nismo GTR, the Rising Suns Tracky by Jet. We have Rally Dutchy in 22nd position for the 621 Mad Fox, who's starting in pit lane, presumably. Anyways, Daniel Desjardins in the 88 in 23rd. Aaron John in 24th position for the number 24. Some say that's fate, some say it's a curse. We'll have to find out. Bruno Pio rounds out the back of the grid tonight, the 111 car in the number 25. Expect big things from this car, as starting in the back is certainly an unfamiliar look for the Brazilian, but the Inception Racing car certainly will be making their way through this pack, carving it like a turkey on Thanksgiving, you might say.
I'm really curious, Mike. Is it actually coming down, or is there just spitter spatter from the track coming up right now? I'm seeing a lot of drivers with their windshield wipers on, but I don't see heavy rain coming down. I wonder if any of the drivers were electing to take dry tires and be that madman themselves and trying to figure it out the hard way.
Yeah, I am unsure, to be completely honest. Jeff Spangler doesn't look to have that much water coming down on his windshield, but there's maybe a little bit. You see a spot occasionally. It's very light, though. Oven20 gifting a sub to Thor FPV. Thor FPV, that's sick. I love drones, so love to see some drone enthusiasts. I think we have 2 drone enthusiasts in the booth right now, so you're in welcome hands here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what drone you've got. We'd love to talk drones with you after the stream, and obviously do that in ! Discord to go ahead and chop it up with us and talk all things drone related and all things hobby related as well, especially with the off season coming up, the holidays coming up. There's going to be a lot of action talking about what toys everybody's getting themselves for the holidays, because we're all adults now. We're pretty much just buying gifts for ourselves once the Fanatec sales hit. We're not asking mom and dad for them anymore. Some of us are, but most of us are just waiting for those holiday sales coming around Thanksgiving, and it'll be coming around pretty shortly. So keep your eyes peeled for all the Corsair, I should say, deals that are coming out soon.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to be getting an FPV drone around Christmas myself. So that's my plans for my Christmas present to myself, is a nice Gerpec Mark V.
Oh, nice. And you've already got the transmitter for it as well, right?
No, I have the remote. I need to get the goggles still, which is the expensive part. But, I also have my DJI Air 3, which is, I still love that. I just flew it the other day. It was very nice. Went out in the mountains. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We mentioned drone talk afterwards. Let's not do it now, because we can talk for a while about that. We have a race ahead of us, and we have a championship to decide, Saagar, and 120 minutes on the clock to do so. These drivers are lining up now, 2x2 Noah's Ark formation. Jeff Spangler and Quinn Smith are the 2 that are going to be the talk of the town. We're going to be showing them on screen more than anyone. I'm just going to be completely honest, heads up in advance, because this is where the real meat and potatoes is. As they come around the final corner now, getting ready to go green here through turn 14, the cars go. The Christmas tree is lit up as we approach the lights here, and they get ready to go green, 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 and Jeff Spangler is off to a much better start than Quinn, but a fairly even heel down the road. Immediately, Quinn closes the gap to the Ferrari on the outside. A bit of 3-wide action briefly. That's going to be the Ford Mustang trying to get involved. Emirates round to the outside, but will they be able to find the daylight? No, because there is none. It's night. We have Quinn Smith still fighting alongside Jeff Spangler as he punches a hole now almost into the side panel. Gets all sorts of out of shape. Quinn Smith has to check back to the racing line. The tires not up to heat just yet. Jeff Spangler holds on for now. Smith, though, all over the back of him like a license plate. The overtaking opportunities, though, Saagar, are thin through the middle part of this track.
Heart in my hand right now between the two leaders, Quinn Smith and Jeff Spangler. Oh my goodness, I thought that was gonna all end in tears between the two of them. They were just inches or millimeters away from each other for just a moment. Emirates now putting the pressure on Quinn Smith, doing a great job. Dinarte's got a position gain. Kenneth Portis II's lost one. Chandler Williams is up 3. Alex Hansen, Hunter Davis, Professor Cronotis up 3. Phil Lee is up 4. Rally Dutchy's up 5. Bruno Pio's up 7 positions overall. This is going to be an amazing night race here to finish out this championship, Mike Nause.
This absolutely is. As the squabbling continues, it's hard for me to keep my eye off of the front pack here because anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. Emirates here is trying to posture for a move at some point. He's stalking his prey right now in the Aston Martin that is Quinn Smith, but he's not finding anything. He's not getting the move done because there is no moves to be found. This is the Hungaroring. It's a very difficult track to overtake. The first corner is your best bet. Trying to get a good run now is going to be Emirates. On to the back of Quinn. You can see what the front splitter cam is like, and wow, that Aston Martin is quick.
And putting out a lot of spray as well into Emirates' face right now. And I wonder how long this pressure cooker can keep on building up of Emirates putting it down on Quinn Smith in that 66 Aston Martin before he begins to crack and boil over. There's now a gap beginning to form right now between the front leader and the second place car of Quinn Smith, 0.8 of a second. That's almost a whole blink of an eye away. Well, a couple blinks of an eye away, actually. But the two drivers are getting separated more and more as time goes on. Here's Kevin Yu right now, getting chased down by a couple of cars around him. Alex Hansen, and putting pressure down on Hunter Davis out in front in that Lamborghini. And it's getting a little undulated going over some of the curbs, as that thing's probably riding as low as possible around the Hungaroring. Not that much elevation change around this circuit as far as I can recall. 114 feet of elevation change, or 35 meters, and we got a half-mile long straight pretty much coming down the front of it.
Yeah, the elevation's not the issue though, Saagar. It's the curbs that are here, and there are some nasty ones at that. So I don't know if you're going to be riding max low, but especially in the wet conditions, I think you want a little bit more ground clearance. That way you don't have too many issues over the long term. But either way, the drivers, they hopefully have their setups made. They have their beds, and they need to lie in them now because, well, they got a race ahead of them with 1 hour and 16 minutes left. And looking at the positions after lap 1, Rally Dutchy up 6 positions. We have Bruno Pio up 7 positions. I talked about big movers to keep an eye on. Bruno, definitely one to continue to keep an eye on. 5 positions for Hunter Davis, as well as, well, that's pretty much it. 3 for Chrono, 2 for Alex Hansen, 4 for Chandler Williams, actually, who's making some good ground up. Started in 10th, and now is moving up into 4th, potentially, or 6th, up for maybe here into 5th soon.
That's a good point regarding setups, Mike. Absolutely true. You might not be riding as bottomed out as possible, but you will have your car set up to be a little bit softer than you would during these drier conditions, right? And that's going to be really setting up these drivers to set up how they want to navigate these corners, and if they want to be aggressive and attack those curbs or not. But the real question is who's got their setups dialed in the best right now, because that'll face your consistency issue. And here goes a move around the outside, or looked for it, looks left, looks right, looks center, couldn't find a gap. And Wilson Fernandez trying to find a way to make up this 30-second penalty that he has going for him. That 888 up the inside right now, going towards the chicane. Can he hold on? Oh, that's signed, sealed, and delivered, just like Stevie Wonder always told us about. He cuts the chicane a little bit there, and that might be a track limits violation for him, but he's already got 30 seconds to serve. What's another speed token violation?
Yeah, there's no mites about that being a speed token violation. That certainly was a very liberal usage of the track. That's, to put it lightly, exploring the limits and some there was Wilson Fernandez, but had no intention of handing that position back to Chandler Williams. After not muscling his way by, really, but Chandler kind of taking the karting line there, and, well, this isn't really a kart, this is a GT3 car, and didn't really like it too much, and Wilson Fernandez says, thank you very much, I'll take the racing line away from you, and that position to boot. it seems that Ramon Torres is going to be having a similar conversation right now with Chandler Williams. Torres all over him and trying to make a move potentially into the first corner. Let's pop on the rear wing and see what the slipstream looks like. The McLaren 720S is a rocket, but the GT3 Ford Mustang also an absolute rocket as well, and not really budging. Even with that slipstream, the McLaren is going to take advantage of the offline, but he does cover the inside. It looks like the McLaren will have a chance, but in reality, the McLaren has no opportunity here, as there is a hairpin left-hander coming up that you don't want to be on the outside of.
True, that car is going to get onto the uncambered portion if it's stuck to the outside line, and that's going to be really uncomfortable to try to navigate. We've seen that happen in Formula One races before, and it doesn't tend to work out. In GT racing, it's even worse being outside in that dirty air, on that dirty line as well, especially during these wet track conditions, because that dry line isn't really forming there for you. You've got all the marbles hung out there. You're just not going to have as much traction as you think that you would need to go the long way around, but perhaps finding an opportunity another time around this time. And here goes Quinn Smith chasing down Jeff Spangler, and now the gap's already grown to around half a second, so come down by just a hair, but Emirates lurking in the background, half second away from Quinn Smith right now. Doing a great job of keeping in touch with these leaders.
He really is. Emirates really not spoiling the party here, just trying to keep on the back of Quinn. He's not been making moves. He's had the opportunity to have a couple looks, but he just really hasn't gone for him. He's taking the discretion as the better part of valor route, which is, in my opinion, a great thing. There's still an hour and 12 minutes left. There's really no reason to get that hurry up on in Quinn Smith and Emirates, though they both know that, and Jeff Spangler as well. He, of course, knows that, yes, he's leading this race, but Quinn can kind of change that whenever he wants, and this lap it doesn't look like he's going to be able to. 0.8 is the gap, and that was up to about 1.5 seconds, so Quinn kind of yo-yoing the positions right now, or yo-yoing the times I should say, and just playing with the deltas and not really getting too fussed about being 1 second off, 2 seconds back. As long as he doesn't fall out of the slipstream, really, he'll still be in a decent situation to capitalize later on in the race. But here, we don't see the same situations. Hunter Davis, I think, just capitalized on another position. And is he going to lose it, though, as Kevin Yu tries to fight back around the outside? But again, that left-hander coming up. Kevin has a good run, though, and he'll be fully ahead before they reach the braking zone. Hunter Davis there, maybe a bit too much discretion.
Yeah, maybe a little too cooked there going in towards T1. I will want to read off the lap times for 1, 2, and 3 right now. Jeff Spangler with the 150.1. There's Jake Terrell off there at the hairpin left-hander. 150.0 for Jeff Spangler. Quinn Smith with a 49.8. Emirates with a 49.9 right now. So all of them almost identical lap times, just a couple of tenths and hundredths separating them. And so it's going to be tight and twisty going into this end of this race. But we still have a mandatory pit stop, don't we, Mike?
Yeah, we do. And the mandatory pit strategy here is, of course, one mandatory stop with, I think, no fixed time, as I'm just double checking the rules and have to talk very slowly, as we have no fixed refueling times, optional tires. So yes, you just have to take fuel. That is the only requirement, and that I think the drivers will do. This track is pretty harsh on tires, but we are in the wet conditions. But will it dry up? Will the drivers have to take tires anyways? I don't know.
That'll be the question for Quinn Smith and Jeff Spangler. Both of them have been undercut before and not taking tires. And so they're going to really be the ones that dictate the pace on this one. If their pace manages to fall off, that's when we'll really know what's going to be the causation of these pit stops and when they'll have to take their pit stops. Hungaroring isn't really a track where I expect to run into lap traffic too badly should they take an early pit stop, but especially for these champions right now, they do not want to be the first of the pit stoppers to show what they've got up their sleeves right now. Quinn Smith about 1.5 seconds away from Jeff Spangler. Emirates 0.4 away from Quinn Smith as well. Keeping an eye on this battle always as ever. 149.8 for Jeff Spangler, 150.4 for Quinn Smith, 150.2 for Emirates right now. So the gaps are coming away and together all at the same time.
Squashmonger, you're asking a question that I think, oh goodness, where Chandler Williams, as I switch over to him there, I think he just got a punt in the rear from Ramon Torres. and he's going to try to, no, was that Casey Schutte? I think it was Casey Schutte, actually. They just gave him a little hurry up, and Ramon Torres getting a bit out of shape as well. Nobody having too big of a moment, but certainly a close call. But I think, Squashmonger, you have asked the question that every driver is asking right now, and nobody is going to answer, is my assumption, until a little bit later, because it's just not worth it. They don't want to gamble their race away right now. When everybody is on the same incorrect strategy, that means that everybody is on, well, the same strategy. So there's not much of a variable to fight right now. But as soon as one person makes the pit stop and everyone sees, oh, well, maybe the dry tires are the tire to be on, that's when questions start to be asked. Drivers start to come in early, then the pit stops happen, and well, who knows what goes from there. And as Oven's saying there as well, everyone's waiting for the dry line to form before pitting. That's what I would assume as well, personally, is you wait for that dry line, and maybe even for the track to start saying greasy before you do come in, and I just don't see that happening anytime soon. And also, Stephen Buckley, welcome on YouTube. Thank you for the tie comment, courtesy of Neil Kerbel.
And before we get too far cooked into this, there goes Schutte a little bit deep there. More than just a little bit deep. He's in way too deep. That 444 gone and cooked himself there into turn 1, and that's going to allow Chandler Williams to snake right on through. And now he's stuck in a battle between Andre Alex Alfonso in the 999 in 10th place, trying to find that one more position to make that a quadruple 9.
And now you can see the way that he postured over to the left-hand side of the track as well when he rejoined. Very intelligent decision-making from Casey as he just covers it rather than allowing the, I almost said Ferrari, that is the furthest thing from a Ferrari I think that I could ever say. The Nissan GTR, Godzilla, is, no, not a Ferrari, is going to be, though, struggling behind now, and Andre Alfonso, I think he knows the pace is there for Casey, but actually I say that in the lap times, currently favoring the likes of Alfonso previously by about a second in the last lap. We'll take a look up at our top pack as well, as Emirates is still piling the pressure onto Quinn, and Quinn has fallen off the back of Jeff. 2 seconds now is the gap.
2 seconds is not enough to take tires. He'll need at least another 3 or 4 seconds to make the tire strategy work, and that's not if they have to go for a splash and dash strategy as well. Should they decide to go with a splash and dash, 25 seconds is what you would need as a gap to make sure that you at least have your opponent covered off. And I don't see that gap coming up anytime soon right now, especially with these lap times, 49.9, 50.5, 50.4. Emirates is putting the pressure on Quinn Smith, and maybe that's what's causing Quinn Smith to be a little bit more cautious right now. Or maybe he's just driving within those limits. He's staying within that 1 to 2% of his maximum capabilities right now. We saw him be awfully consistent in the qualifying session, and maybe that's what he's showcasing for us right now, is just how consistent he can be lap after lap, not pushing himself to the brink of his speed, of his skill, and forcing himself into a mistake, but just staying in a nice, good, healthy rhythm and waiting for Spangler, the race leader, to make that unequivocal mistake.
Just trying to take a look here at what the heck we're looking at. I don't think those are dries. I think that's just a yellow rim. Yes, it is just a yellow rim. The lighting was playing tricks on my eyes right there. Look at that Intercontinental car as there's, we just tune off of there. But I'm just checking to see if any of these drivers that have gone for a pit stop have elected to pull the trigger onto dries. Daniel Desjardins, nope. And that is everyone that has stopped so far. So nobody is a nut that's crazy in the coconut, or at least crazy enough just yet to elect for a dry set of rubber. They are still electing for the grooved tires that are made for these wet conditions. There are no intermediate tires in GT racing, not like Formula 1 where you have the green stripe. It is either full wets or it is full slicks in GTs.
Not yet, at least. I know that's something that they're trying out with the GTPs right now, is a hybrid set of tires, and maybe that will trickle down to GT3s eventually, but not this year at least. Not that we're talking about this race for sure. Is it already possible to run into lap traffic already, says Squatchmonger? No, not yet. We do see the 77 and the 88 Daniel Desjardins and Tenerillo also out on track after taking their initial pit stops, but they're about a quarter of a lap ahead of the number 9 right now, so no lap traffic just yet to write home about, and we don't expect them to get in the way for about another let's say 20 or so minutes at the very least.
Yeah, which by that time, more than likely, they're going to have to pit anyways, so I don't think we're going to see too much of a traffic issue in this race, but anything can happen in racing, and it normally does, and if it does, then, well, I think Quinn Smith will be counting his lucky stars, because Quinn right now, I don't know if he is holding stuff back or if he is just lower on the pace than otherwise would be expected. There's a drive-through penalty already for Daniel Desjardins, and well, a couple drivers need to be careful. Emirates was close to track limits on that lap, didn't exceed them. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea how, but he didn't. Apparently, the in-game marshals deemed that within the mayo and the mustard, and hey, fair enough, they know better than I.
In the background, we saw Bruno Pio in the number 111 in 14th position get past Alex Hansen, and Alex Hansen's up 1. Bruno Pio chopping it up.
Oh, hold that thought. Sorry, the Emirates going for a dive now down to the inside in the penultimate corner. Sorry to cut you off, Saagar. That almost came out of nowhere. Emirates is getting feisty here on lap 8.
Saw that out of the corner of my eye, Mike. No apologies necessary. This is the battle that we all paid to see all championship season long. This is what we want to see so badly, is a last lap finale, and I think we might actually get it, especially with Emirates throwing his name into the ring as well. He could shake up this championship standings just a little bit further right now.
And here we go back to the first corner. No look from Emirates. The door was open. Emirates was close, but he just thought, no, that wasn't the time. Is he just trying to maybe sell the dummy there on Quinn Smith? He certainly sold the dummy on me. I had him fully believe it. I thought he was going for that one completely. But no, Emirates, he has just sort of tucked in again. We'll be keeping an eye then on that turn 12, 13, 14 complex, because that seems where Emirates wants to pounce. Which is interesting because normally you don't see that there. Into turn 12, there's a good run. You can typically have a good opportunity into turn 12 if you're confident enough. But into 13, whew, that was bold.
Very bold indeed. We're watching a couple of battles out on track going on at the same time. Anthony Kelly, Jan Stam. Jan Stam actually getting past Rogério Santos right now in towards T1 and T2. Rogério Santos trying to snap back, but it looks like, oh, there was almost contact between the two drivers going into the third corner, but all is fair in love and war. And it looks like Jan Stam over Rogério Santos. In between is going to be Anthony Kelly from F&M watching the action fold in front of him.
Got a front row seat there, does Kelly, and he's going to be just enjoying every second of it. Well, maybe not enjoying it. He wants to get his name into this conversation, it seems, as well. Trying to nose his way by the T-Rex there, and that's actually a Rogério Santos going for a move into a very ambitious corner. The gap gets closed, but was the gap there to begin with? That I'm not sure. I think Rogério Santos... yeah, leave that one to the stewards, I'll be completely honest. But Anthony Kelly, you can see he is licking his lips in the mirror as he is hunting for his opportunity as well.
Hey, and I bet Anthony Kelly saying, whoa, here goes a big look at the inside of turn 1 in front of Emirates. Looking at Quinn Smith like he is a tasty little morsel to be eaten alive right now. There's no T-Rex on the side of that Ferrari, but he is looking for a feast tonight, and Quinn Smith might be on the menu for him for certain. 410's gap coming down right now out of the exit of turn 3, and it looks like everything is single file line right now. The drivers know what they need to do. They're going to drive this one forward for another couple of minutes before they get a little bit hot and heated right now. But all this battling and defending out of Quinn Smith has allowed Jeff Spangler to get a 2.6 second gap right now, and you can see him just racing off in the distance right now.
Yeah, and I was just checking the conditions there. It's still predicted to be the same conditions for the next 30 minutes. So, yeah, I don't expect the drivers to come in for the next 30 minutes. If that's the case, it wouldn't really be, just they're going to be waiting till see the update on the conditions, more or less, because there's no reason to come in. These tires are not going to be struggling. The only reason they would come in is if they didn't fuel up enough, which they certainly fueled, I would imagine, enough for 40 minutes of racing. So they should have no issues there. These drivers will be just driving for the next, again, probably 40 minutes before we see really any strategy calls and any drivers come in. I'd be surprised otherwise. It'd be a little bit ambitious, I would say. But, you know, a gamble is what some of these drivers need. Wilson Fernandez, 10-second penalty to his name. He needs a gamble as well. He has to go for something different here. Battling with Kenneth Portis II, even if he wins out, he has to find another 10 seconds advantage over the field. And I don't know if that's going to be possible even with the time left. He is a quick driver, we know that, but Kenneth here has just been absolutely on top of it. The Honda NSX, or the Acura NSX, depending on where you are in the world, is a car that you don't often see in ACC anymore, but Kenneth here, he is delivering with absolute volition, and though he might lose this position to Wilson Fernandez, and he might lose it relatively soon, he is still one of the fan favorites out there. I know that for a fact.
Absolutely. Like you said, he's driving this Honda NSX 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine with 500 horsepower. He's been driving this thing phenomenally well all season long. And we've been to a lot of varying tracks as well, all the way from Kyalami to obviously Hungaroring, Bathurst as well being included in that mix. He's been driving this one very, very neatly. And so Wilson Fernandez is going to have a nice, healthy notch in his belt to say, hey, remember that time I was battling out with Kenneth Portis II? Yeah, I beat him on track on pace alone. Never mind about that 10-second penalty that I had. This has got to drive his ego to the moon to be battling with names like this right now, and I am just cheering him on right now. Go, 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 Wilson Fernandez. Drive that 888 to your heart's content and drive it cleanly, my friend. You're doing a phenomenal job out there tonight, and I can't wait to see what you're able to produce out here tonight in these wet and damp conditions. It is tricky to be out here even during these regular conditions. If it was rainy, moist, damp, whatever you want to call it, but then throwing the night mix on it as well. It's awfully dark here at the Hungaroring. Not many track lights here to illuminate the circuit in front of us, and we see a little bit of shaking and baking going on from Wilson Fernandez trying to find a line around Kenneth Portis as well, but Kenneth Portis is not showing him any daylight between those headlights. Not a crack to be found from Kenneth Portis driving this Honda NSX very healthily in front of the 720S McLaren.
Indeed, and Adam Strange with a cheer of 1 bit. Do you like Batman's Giant Penny? I'm unfamiliar with this. Saagar, elaborate.
I didn't know Batman had a giant penny. Where would he keep it in his spandex suit?
Poof, that I don't want to know, maybe. One thing I do know, Saagar, is you brought up a great question in that how many floodlights are at the Hungaroring? And the answer is the Hungaroring has 0 floodlights. It is not like Yas Marina Circuit or Singapore. It is not set up for night racing, despite the fact that we are night racing here now. That's one thing you gotta love about ACC, is defying reality and doing things here in the sim that otherwise aren't possible.
Mike Nause, you scared me there for just a moment. I thought you were about to bust out some astronomical number like, there are 436 floodlights here at the Hungaroring. I'm glad the answer just ended up being a simple one like 0. I thought you were out there counting floodlights or using ChatGPT against me there.
Well, no, because one of the things is what people often don't know is one of the reasons I started this whole fun fact thing to begin with was the floodlight conversation, and that was David Crofty 2 years ago in the booth had brought up at Yas Marina when they introduced it, that the fact that they had over 1,500 floodlights to light up the, no, not Yas Marina, to light up Jeddah Corniche. There was over 1,500 floodlights lighting up Jeddah Corniche, and I just found that statistic ridiculous. And ever since then, I've rolled. Oh, there was also, I think, 132 different palm trees or something like that in the area as well. And so ever since then, that's where the birth of the fun facts happened. I introduced them in my commentary immediately after.
Well, that is a fun fact. That'll be a quiz later, is where did Mike Nause get the fun fact from?
David Crofty, brother. David Croft, absolute legend.
Always Crofty. Always Crofty.
Or Brundle. I also like Brundle's great as well, don't get me wrong. No spoilers for F1, by the way, everybody. There is, holy smokes, I don't got... Oh goodness, Saagar, I'll let you take that one as we tune back up here to the top and talk more about the 1, 2, 3 battle at hand here. We have the podium positions all within a blanket's throw of each other. And Jeff Spangler leading the championship is not gone deep. That is an AMG back marker of Christian Tannerio. I had a absolute heart and mouth moment there as Jeff Spangler has negotiated that without too much issue, but the gap 1.8 seconds. And Emirates, how the heck is he keeping that valid there? I'm going to be honest, that is like so on the limit, but regardless, it is it's clearly within the track, and Emirates really giving Quinn Smith the hurry up here and giving him quite the hard time.
Adam Strange with the Star Wars facts, of course, giving us more reasons to love him. Thank you very much for that Star Wars fact there, Adam Strange, regarding Jeddah, the Jeddah circuit.
Got you. Got you.
Pit stoppers coming out. Alex Hansen, Kevin Yu, Christian Tenerillo, and Aaron John all taking their mandatories right now. Alex Hansen trying to get around Phil Lee at 3.2 seconds adrift right now, but right now we're watching the battle between Quinn Smith and Emirates. Another close one out on track is Chandler Williams and Casey Schutte. The battle between 8th and 9th, as well as Wilson Fernandez and Kenneth Force II. But right now we're going to stay on board with Emirates on the front splitter right now, watching all this spray come up from Quinn Smith. Man, get that man some mud flaps. He's spraying up a whole lot of water right now, and both of these drivers taking slightly different lines through the first corner, obviously in different makes of machinery. So how they make up the time around these corners is going to be a little bit different. But we all know that the ideal line never lies to us, and you can see Emirates there a little bit further wide, using as much track space as possible. Quinn Smith on the inside, just a little defensive right now. And now the gaps come up to 2.1 seconds between Spangler and Quinn Smith after getting around the lap traffic.
Yeah, not too much of an issue getting by the likes of Tannerio, and seemingly more lap traffic to come here. The 45 of Kevin Yu is looking to join that conversation. They just made their pit stop, and I predicted that we wouldn't see traffic before the pit phase, and I was completely and utterly wrong. Emirates again taking a very off line, and still, I mean, he clearly has practiced. That's the one thing that I'm taking from watching Emirates on this track, is every single time he takes that corner, it's the exact, it looks wrong, but he takes it the same way every single time, so it must be the ideal line that the Ferrari likes there, and it's just on the limit at an absolute maximum extent. But risking quite a bit is Emirates, and he's risking the move now into turn 12, down to the inside. Quinn Smith turns in, but leaves enough space there for the birth of a car. But Quinn has the inside line onto 13, and that is position defended for now. But we can see Emirates getting more and more antsy, and the gap between Jeff Spangler and Quinn Smith is ever extending.
Man, this is getting hot and heated between these two drivers. Emirates is definitely throwing his nose into it and shaking up this championship a little bit. I wanted to see a clean battle between Jeff Spangler and Quinn Smith, but I'll pay to see a battle between Emirates and Quinn Smith right now. This is awfully crazy. Like you said, going into 12 and 13, leaving himself a little bit vulnerable there. That's where Quinn Smith just might be a little bit slower than Emirates. Doing a great job on the attack, though, is Emirates, keeping it very, very, very clean, and I will say surprisingly so. And Quinn Smith doing a great job of keeping his head on a swivel to know when Emirates will jump and leap and try to take those moves. And I'm going to look at the battle between Casey Schutte and Chandler Williams right now as well. And they're in 8th and 9th, 4:10 separating them right now, and looking like a neat and hefty battle as they approach turn 1.
Emirates here trying to maybe line up a slingshot into the chicane. There's not much of a move there if he wants it. The barn door is left open, but even Quinn knows that's a futile effort for Emirates. But Emirates is just so eagerly posturing. We saw him go for it last time in turn 12. As they go through the S's now, this is going to be a nip and tuck sector, but once they get on the exit, there is all game for overtake. And Sanders on asking, are mud flaps aerodynamic on a GT3? I would say no. I think engineers would have they'd have a fit if you were to put mud flaps required on these cars. I don't even know they do much, just how much air they move. Emirates, though, into turn 12, too far back. Gonna have to wait for the first corner. And we've seen that he's eager to make that happen there as well. Emirates, the two best overtaking spots on the track, turn 12 being the second best. It's not great, I'll be completely honest. Overtaking here, I've mentioned it once, I've mentioned it twice, and I'll mention it again. It's difficult. It's a tough overtaking track. It's a very much, you capitalize on the mistakes of the drivers ahead of you. And let's see if Quinn Smith has one here. The run down to the first corner is, well, seemingly unsurmountable. I'm just going to be honest. Emirates, bit too far back.
And I thought I saw an incident pop up for the number 66, but I think he may have just got to hurry up and go out of Emirates. A little bump drafting there from the Ferrari behind, the number 1 sitting in 3rd place right now. And they're doing a great job. Here's Wilson Fernandez chasing down Kenneth Portis. The gap has stayed pretty similar, around half a second right now. In the battle between Casey Schutte and Chandler Williams, looks like Schutte's going backwards and Chandler gains that position back, and they both collide and go into the pit wall. Holy Toledo!
I don't think they collided. I mean, they collided, but I don't think they collided leading up into this. Let's see here. So we're about to see the Ford Mustang start to lose the front end, I think all on his lonesome, and then Casey, both of them just wash onto the curbs and they do the exact same thing. They both made the exact same mistake. They got on the throttle too early. I didn't see any contact between them minus the obvious contact, but that was just the prime example of monkey see, monkey do if I've ever seen one, Saagar.
That is a prime example for sure, and I thought that there was definitely a contact before that because of how similar those incidents ended up looking, but absolutely not. There was a mile between those two cars, and they both just did the exact same thing at the exact same time, and just worrying about getting on throttle, worrying about the chase that they were going to put down on each other, and then all of a sudden getting onto the green stuff, throttling out, and straight into the pit wall they went.
Yeah, not ideal. that was embarrassing. I'm gonna be completely honest. Sorry, Casey, but that was a very easy mistake to make, but one that you certainly don't want to be finding yourself doing as you see the car in front of you doing the exact same thing. Yeah, that was entertaining though. I can see why you would think there was contact. Like, that's why I had to clear that one up. It looked like it, but no, that was just an odd one. You don't see that one every day, chat. You can add that one to the books of things that you don't see every day, that's for sure. Another thing you don't see here is Eric Gagosian trying to go for an overtake on what is going to be, it looks like Bruno Pio, but Bruno, I don't know, man. He is a tough one to get by. In fact, I think he just got by Eric not too long ago, and now Chrono is the next victim. He's already up 14 positions.
Well, I think the number 11, the 111, needs to stay exactly where he is to keep this looking like it is right now. It looks awfully satisfying, Bruno Pio's positions, but we know that he's going to gain more positions as time goes on in this race. Hopefully not losing a position to Eric Gagosian as he's putting down the threat, breathing down Bruno Pio's neck, but he could make moves on Professor Chronotis. About 8/10 of drift right now. Lap time right now is almost identical between the 3 drivers, Eric Gagosian being the slowest of the 3 with a 153.572 to his name, but 155.2 and 155.2 for Chronotis and Bruno Pio.
Yeah, not to mention the elephant in the room and the 30-second penalty that Eric has. Honestly, I missed that. I'm not going to lie. I just kind of realized that, so that's going to be affecting him come pit phase. He will have to remain stationary for 30 seconds before he is allowed to be auto-jacked up, and the mechanics will be allowed to work on his car. Here's a bit of work being done from Wilson Fernandez, trying to fix himself a position into 5th. Kenneth Portis II runs wide and has a compromised line now into what is 12. Wilson Fernandez goes side by side, but the outside line now for Kenneth Portis. He holds on.
Wow, what an amazing battle, and unfortunately that Assetto Corsa banner getting in the way a little bit out of turn 12 and hiding what could have been a great overtake or snap back from that Honda NSX, but the 888 does not manage to get the overtake done right now. He's sizing up Kenneth Portis, trying to figure out where his weakness is, and I think he finally found the kink in the armor, and he's going to try to exploit that as much as possible now. He's going to be able to make that move happen through turn 12, put the pressure on through 10 and 11, obviously, and then force an error out of him one more time, but uncharacteristic out of Kenneth Portis II. He usually is not the one to crack underneath so much pressure, but we have seen him make mistakes before, and in these tricky conditions, anything is a possibility right now, and anything is a possibility for Emirates as well. The number 1 sitting in 3rd place behind Quinn Smith by at least 0.3 of a second, but Quinn Smith is...
Wilson Fernandez is off. What has happened here?
Oh no.
Let's go back and take a look. This looks to be unforced. This looks to be like a completely unforced error out of Wilson here. Let's see. As we go into what looks to be Sector 3, he goes off. Wow, just lights the tires up on the green stuff, and that just sends him careening into the barrier at approximately Mach Jesus.
I saw a McLaren. That's all I saw. And I thought that was Jeff Spangler, and my heart just dropped when you said, oh no, like that, Mike. Don't ever scare me like that again. And I'm watching the timing tower, and I'm seeing that 4.4 second gap right now. And I'm just grinning from ear to ear as we're watching these amazing battles take place for first, second, and third. And who is that in the background? That must have been a lap car, it looks like, for sure. That's Kevin Yu that they just got around. So lap traffic giveth, lap traffic taketh away. But I think Emirates is the one who's really taking away from Quinn Smith right now.
Maybe not yet. I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. Emirates, he's trying to, but he's just kind of, he's keeping him honest still. He hasn't really been able to poise himself into a location in which he can get something really, get something done, to be honest. He's made a couple looks. They've been half-hearted attempts that he's been half committed to at best. One of them was fully committed, to be honest, and woof. Okay.
Ooh.
I don't know if that was netcode or if that was latency, but that was certainly a bit rude.
That was a shake and bake. That was bump drafting, whatever you want to call it. And
Is he letting him
Emirates
by?
coming right back off track. And it looks like Quinn Smith and Emirates are going after it right now.
I can't
and
tell.
man.
Is Emirates trying to let Quinn back by? Or is... Well, Quinn's back by. That's the synopsis of the scenario. I thought I don't know if he was. Even now, I don't know if he was. I'm going to be honest. But either way, Quinn's back by. So as far as I'm concerned, all's well in the world. Yeah. All right, moving on. Emirates continues the battle.
Now the gap's brewed up to 6.2 seconds. So he is taking away quite a bit of time out of Quinn Smith. And every time I say that, I feel like I'm saying a tongue twister. But man, holy smokes. Mike, what is the best Billie Eilish song?
Birds of a Feather. I suppose if I had to pick one, it's not my favorite song, but it's if I had to pick one, Birds of a Feather probably.
Emirates got a big snap of oversteer right there coming out of turn 13, I think. Yeah, turn 13. And he was able to correct it and keep the car tracking in a straight line, but really is having a hard time wrestling that car around. Maybe that's what we're seeing happen to Emirates right now. Just a little bit of overcorrection having to take place because his tires might be getting into that window of overheating. And talk about overheating, almost running into the back of Quinn Smith. Holy smokes, that was close, Mike.
That was the time to go on board. That's for... I wasn't planning that or anything. That just kind of happened. One thing that you do notice is Emirates is not using his windscreen wipers, and that's because he's more than likely on bonnet cam, so he isn't getting affected by the spray like we are in the cockpit. In fact, this is about as useless as a point of view as you can get, to be completely honest, so we're just gonna ignore like I ever did that. But it was certainly an exciting moment there briefly, and Emirates maybe testing the structural fortitude of his racing trousers is certainly going to be looking for a bit more than a tire change at the pit stop.
Man, I was going to expect that you're going to say Emirates is driving basically with the lowest rain settings possible, so he doesn't even see it, basically.
That also might be true.
A lot of esports drivers might be using those specific settings. That way they get more FPS out of their systems, and they get to see a little bit more clearly. The spray isn't as thick, obviously, but who knows what Emirates is running. We'll have to ask him if he decides to jump into the booth with us at the end of this race, depending on where he falls out on the podium.
Got any thoughts on Loveless? I love when it rains. Honestly, Saagar, is that a song? I'm unfamiliar. Sorry, Squashmonger. That is a reference that has gone right over my head.
I'll Google it for us.
Sure, why not? As we have a battle, though, happening here right now with Emirates and Quinn Smith onto the start-finish straight. We are going to launch ourselves now. Emirates trying to go for the move again after he has tried it a few times, but the Aston Martin just seems to be a bit too quick in a straight line. And taking a look over to the pit wall, well, I guess we're seeing exactly that. Quinn Smith is about dead even speed in a straight line as Emirates, and that's even with a slipstream from Emirates. So he is getting towed along just a little bit, and that's helping him out tremendously in a straight line. But the Aston sort of doing the brunt end of the work for him. A little bit loose, though, goes Quinn Smith. Emirates has a potential opportunity, but this fast left-hander coming up, there's really no window.
That is a banger of a song for sure, Mike Nause. You're going to have to Google that one later. and enjoy it yourself. But this is a hectic battle that we keep on seeing. Emirates obviously letting Quinn Smith by earlier on last lap around, but all fair and love and war between these two drivers. The 66 leads the number 1, and the number 9 right now is 7.2 seconds up the road. Is he running into more lap traffic? No, he's got clean air all the way in front of him until he runs into the number 100, and that'll be Jan Stam.
And here we go, back side by side. Emirates has gotten a run. He's got the inside line. Quinn has to go elbows out here if he wants to defend. He's going to keep the line, though. In fact, he manages to keep the overspeed on the outside and take the long way around for the defense. Does he keep the position? Yes, he does. Aaron John, though, gets in the way briefly, causes a big tank slapper from Quinn, but he manages to recover it. Emirates almost on the back end there. He almost went and collected the back end, in fact. And speaking of just that, it seems that Bruno Pio and Eric Gakassian have had an incident, but we're going to stick up here at the front with this exciting battle for the bottom step of the podium. Well, middle step of the podium, I suppose.
That was a big Code Brown moment for those drivers trying to get around Aaron John in the midst of all of that. And yes, that was a giant tank slapper for Quinn Smith out in the lead, trying to return to the racing line. Aaron John did a great job getting out of the way, but it was still scary. Emirates looks left, looks right, tries to go the long way around now, scaring Quinn Smith into another possible overtaking opportunity. But now he knows that he's serious. He's not going to wait any longer. We're just about halfway through this 80-minute race, and now we've come down to the time of fortune telling, folks. What will the drivers be deciding during the pit stop cycle? It is still damp. It is still raining. The drizzling is just coming down. Will anybody decide to take tires? Will anybody decide to take dry tires if they do decide to take tires? Time will only tell, but the fortune telling and the predictions start now, folks. Let us know in the comments what you think is about to happen.
Yeah, I personally think they're going to go longer. There's no sense in going much longer. Oh, that's out of shape there for Quinn. Again, he is struggling so much on the exit of the S's, and here, Emirates almost certainly should get this position done. He's going to run Quinn out of track there and just give him enough room for daylight. Quinn, though, keeps his foot in it off the track, tries to go back round the outside. The Assetto Corsa Competizione board really getting us a good angle of the shot, and Emirates, well, with us seeing the full line of spectacle, he gets by. Oh wait, no, we didn't because the camera angles. But anyways, Emirates is by.
Oh man, here we go. Emirates finally cracking that egg.
Never mind.
Is Quinn Smith in? No, he is not.
No,
there might have been a little bit of contact there between the two drivers, and that's what we're seeing happen. Yes, there was an accident for the 66 for just a moment there that popped up. Must have been touched there in the rump. And all fair, though, as Emirates is not yielding any positions right now. And let's see how he drives off. Here goes Christian Tenerillo, trying to get past Andre Alex Alfonso. Alfonso having a big wiggle on exit of 13. Up the inside goes Tenerillo, trying to give a big squeeze onto Andre Alex Alfonso. Drifts out a little bit too wide there. Alfonso out into the green stuff. Does not slip and slide like a couple of drivers we saw earlier. Tenerillo holds on to the lead of this one into 16th place, but Andre Alex Alfonso is not done with his conversation. Looks to the inside of turn 1, backs out of it, knows that he's not quite there alongside to make that move work out in the long run.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I have no idea who was ahead initially between these two, but this is an exciting battle regardless of whoever it was. Christian Tenerillo gets ahead for now, but Andre Alex Alfonso still well within gripping distance here, and that's a mistake from Christian, but there's not really any overtaking chances in the next corner. Even with a large slide there, you can defend pretty easily. That's just, again, how difficult it is to overtake on this track. Through the fast left-hander and heading now back towards the hairpin before the chicane. Andre Alex Alfonso is just going to have to sit and wait as he tries to duck, dive, dip, and dodge whichever way that Christian Tenerillo doesn't. But again, the overtaking opportunities are slim, especially when you have Godzilla trying to get by an AMG. It's about half the track per car, a little over, I would say. And so good luck negotiating that same piece of real estate. But these drivers, they have to make it work anyways.
Absolutely. Also a battle between Rogério Santos and Anthony Kelly. Anthony Kelly having an accident, and Rogério Santos able to capitalize on that. The inverse positions 11 and 12 right now, and that is going to be Rogério Santos gaining a big point. And here goes Andre Alex Alfonso around the outside of Tenerillo at the end of 12, and it's going to be side by side all the way down into 13. Andre Alex Alfonso holds onto that inside line, really slow through there to make sure he doesn't drift out too wide into that number 77. The 77 goes a long way around, able to hold on. Andre Alex Alfonso leaves more than 2 cars width along the inside. Tenerillo says, thank you so much for that room. I'm going to go ahead and take that real estate for myself. But Andre Alex Alfonso able to snap back at the entrance to the final corner, and a little flashy of the headlights from Tenerillo into Andre Alex Alfonso. Not too pleased with that overtake.
I'm not sure why. That was a brilliant overtake as far as I was concerned. A lovely scrap between the two. I don't think there was contact. And to be fair, Andre Alex Alfonso, I thought he had lost the overtake attempt twice, but Christian Tannerio just had the best gotten of him there. And Andre Alex Alfonso shows that he is the man of the hour. Gets on by with ease. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, Andre Alex Alfonso has new tires and Christian Tannerio doesn't. That could have played a small role, I would say, in that battle. I wouldn't say it played a massive one, but it definitely would have helped. And you know what else has changed? Emirates is ahead of Quinn. We missed that.
No, we saw that.
Well, they got back. They changed back. We never saw this overtake.
Emirates is still ahead of Quinn Smith.
Is he? All right, maybe I'm just tripping. I've watched 7 races today. I've commentated on 7 different races today. So don't get me wrong. I'm not, I wouldn't be surprised if I've forgotten 1 or 2 details. Holy, Quinn Smith, he's almost forgotten the racing line there and almost ends up in the barrier.
You're right, Squatchmonger. That could have been a great battle flashing of the headlights, but I've never been one to use my flashes that way, so I always assume the worst between drivers.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Ain't no one using their flashers to compliment other drivers. Come on, that's not the point of it.
I've heard someone say that before. I flashed my headlights to say great battle. I was like, I've never, ever used my headlights that way in my life.
Let's just say when someone's flashing behind me, I'm not thinking they're saying good battle. That's all I'm saying, okay? Regardless of what situation I'm in. That's not why I'm expecting headlights.
But Jeff Spangler does lead Emirates right now by 10 seconds. Quinn Smith is 2 seconds adrift from Emirates. Kenneth Porce the second, 17 seconds off. 26.8 to Hunter Davis, Casey Schutte, Professor Canoes, Bruno Pio, Thiago Denarte, Rogério Santos, Anthony Kelly, Ramon Torres. Denarte and Ramon Torres both have taken their pit stops. The closest ones to them right now are Kevin Yu, Andre Alex Alfonso, Tenerillo, Raleigh Dutchy, Phil Lee, Alex Hansen, Eric Akasian, and Aaron John.
Yeah, and I don't really expect our leaders to pit either, considering just looking at their lap times, they're not really far off of the competitive nature at all. They're still the faster drivers on track. They're a little bit slower than their quickest laps that they've set, but the weather can also play a role in that. So, they have to pit eventually, don't get me wrong. I just don't think there's really much of an advantage to pitting I don't see the undercut helping. I don't see the overcut helping. It just seems like it's a bit of a wash in strategy for tonight. Hungaroring, you'd expect to see a little variation, but the track conditions have just been... I don't think I've ever seen a wet weather race where the track conditions have been dead consistent from start to finish. And, let's just take a look at the weather report here, and it looks like we're scheduled to have exactly that happen. A very light rain in somewhat intermediate conditions, but more favoring wet, has just gone on through the entirety of this session.
And Squatchmonger did bring up a good point. I wonder how hot their wet tires are right now, because the tires have really just been pushed so hard, and in only damp conditions, you're kind of in that intermediary position, like you said, Mike Nause. So I'm curious to find out how much these drivers have really been pushing, how much wear they've incurred, and a couple of drivers not electing to take tires. That's Ramon Torres, Kevin Yu, and Tenerillo. But everybody else who has taken a pit stop has decided to take tires, other than, Alex Hansen with a 19.1 stationary, and that'll be the fastest service of them all. But he's got 2 pit stops, and he served 2 drive-throughs, it looks like.
Yikes. Yeah, I think if you got your strategy right, your tires should be fine. If they're wet tires, they easily can last 2 hours. That's not an issue with wet tires for the most part, but here we go. Thiago Donarte trying to overtake Bruno Pio. Bruno has not pit yet, and Thiago has, so this is a bit of a no holds barred, no gain battle. It's not no holds barred, the opposite of no holds barred. Yes, holds barred. How about that? I don't think people say that, but I just did. Anyways, no, I think for tires, we're going to be expecting, like, the thing is I would agree with that if the track conditions have changed. The thing is the temperature has remained 18-18 from the start. The rain has remained the exact same from the start. And holy, that's Phil Lee getting overtaken. Speaking of Lee, he is not much of an issue there. Thiago Donarte flying on by. But no, I don't think tires are going to be too much of a challenge, even for the front runners. I'm still interested to see what they do, but at this point, we're well over the halfway point, so I'm almost 100% confident that none of the top drivers are going to be taking tires, just because they got their strategy right, and they elected to get the right amount of pressure at the start, which means they can manage it to the end. Yes, they might be a little overinflated, but again, I go back to the fact that if everybody's tires are at a disadvantage, are anybody's tires really at an advantage?
That's very true, Mike Nause. So what about fuel? How does fuel play into this mix? All drivers taking 120 liters, you would presume. Do you think that any one car is consuming more fuel than the others, or possibly a fuel saving strategy could make up? I mean, obviously not 10 seconds, but maybe a couple of seconds here or there. Is that a possibility?
Maybe. The Aston Martin, particularly good at fuel saving. The Ferrari, not so. I think the size of the tank as well on the Ferrari is a bit down to the Aston Martin. Someone's going to fact check me on that one. I'm doing that off of memory, but I think that's true. ActDHE, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome here to the team, and appreciate the kind words, assuming that is an actual genuine message and not a bot. If that is the case, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and you can head on over, as Patrick Dubois has beat me, oops, I hit my microphone, has beat me to the cards. You can head on over to the Discord and join with the link posted in chat.
And Cody Blanton fact-checking you and saying the Ferrari is the best car on fuel overall. So there goes it out the window. Maybe the Ferrari can do some things here. Emirates potentially having the upper hand over Quinn Smith right now. But I think Quinn Smith could potentially have a larger fuel tank overall. So that Ferrari may have a smaller fuel tank, but more fuel efficiency, meaning it's been balanced very appropriately, especially for a track like the Hungaroring. And right now we're seeing 29-second transient time, so plus whatever stationary service they decide to perform. We're seeing about maybe 60-second gaps right now. So where will that put some of the leaders? Definitely into lap traffic, it looks like.
Yeah, and taking a look
if they decide to pit right now.
Yeah. And taking a look at the pit timer, just overall to answer your question there. So a drive or a pit time with a tire change, you're looking here at Hungaroring about 60 seconds, as you said. Without that, just with refuel, you're looking at a 32-second stop, so just about a little over 25 seconds difference. And that can definitely give you a hefty advantage if you are careful enough. And Cody Blanton is correcting me in that it's the actual opposite of what I said, and the Ferrari is actually one of the best cars on fuel, so fair enough. It does have that little 2.9-liter six-cylinder engine, therefore I guess it is just not that hungry all in all. And of course this Aston with a big old V8, it needs a little bit of fuel, I suppose.
There it is, that V6 twin turbo. Is the Ferrari a V6 twin turbo, Mike Nause?
Correct. Yes, it is. So anytime, again, general rule of thumb for Ferraris, if you see a 3-number name for a Ferrari, this counts for the 488, the 458, and the 296. The first 2 numbers are the engine size. Oh my goodness, there's a chicane in the hairpin there, and that chicane is named Aaron John. Goodness. Anyways, the 2.9 is the size of the engine, so the 2.9 and 296 is 2.9, and 6 is the amount of cylinders. So the 488 is a 4.8-liter V8. Ferrari is not a hybrid, not this version of the Ferrari at least. This is a fully just turbocharged Ferrari. It doesn't have a KERS system on it at all. There's no regenerative braking or any sorts of the such. But like I said, the 458, 4.5-liter V8, and that one has 2 fat turbos itself as well. The 488 is a naturally aspirated boy.
Right on. Thank you very much for that fun fact. Absolutely, Squashmonger. Someone needs to pay for that one.
That one's on me.
I guess I paid for it.
Yeah, that one's on me. I'll cover that one. It's all right. I'll cover the tab. But no, it's yeah. So any Ferrari out there, and don't look at older Ferraris like that. Like I say, it's not the 250 Testarossa is not a 2.5 zero-cylinder engine. It's a 3-liter V12. So like I say, it's not applicable throughout all of time, but generally more of the recent Ferraris, that's kind of the general rule of thumb. And the Squashmonger has insisted on paying for the bill. I will not say no to that, and we do have a hydrate as well. I don't really need it, but caffeinate, why not? I definitely already clearly have enough.
Thank you very much for the hydrate there, Xander Zone 85. Professor Conotis now into pits. Ramon Torres, Kevin Yu, Anthony Kelly from F&M, Alfonso Tenerillo, Rally Dutchy, Phil Lee, Eric Akasi, and Alex Hansen and Jan Stam. Actually, a deep battle between Jan Stam and Rally Dutchy, or Alex Hansen, excuse me, with 390 in the number 100, battling it out for last place overall, but doing a great job of keeping it clean between the two lovers. Out on track, both of them facing a drive-through penalty themselves, and it looks like Jan Stam's trying to go the long way around the outside at turn 1, but holding on for one more day. And Alex Hansen, I don't know why I keep saying Rally Dutchy. Alex Hansen's driving that doodle car around, that BMW, holding on in due form.
We have another fun fact being redeemed. Let me get to that here in a second, actually, as this fight between Ramon Torres and Ruggiero Santos really isn't important. I'm not going to lie. This is a battle that will come to an end regardless. Ruggiero Santos still has to pit. So let's do the fun fact. We have the McLaren leading the race here at the Hungaroring and taking pole position. Saagar, do you happen to know of any other McLaren drivers that have taken pole position here on this circuit?
I don't know, Mike Nause. Why don't you let us know?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because back in 1988, Ayrton Senna actually took his first ever pole position with McLaren here. And I know often a lot of people do know that, of course, Ayrton Senna took his first ever race win at Spa, so he did not win this race, but he did take his first ever successful pole with the with McLaren back in 88.
Wow. Very, very spicy facts. Thank you very much, Mike Nause. That's some good Hungaroring facts for you. And Jeff Spangler right now providing us with some good Hungaroring action right now. Just driving 10.1 seconds ahead of Emirates. That gap has continued to stay around the same. He's last lap around being a 151.4 compared to a 150.9 of Emirates. So gap's coming down by just a smidgen, but not too much. Quinn Smith's last lap being a 151.485, so we are seeing a little bit of tire wear becoming a thing right now. The interesting thing that I want to point out, though, is that Emirates' last lap around, that 150.9, is only 0.2 away from his personal best. So he's the one that I expect to see really shake and bake up this championship right now. And there goes Jan Stam on the inside of Alex Hansen. Side-by-side action in towards turn 1, both of them coming out through that very cleanly. Drive-through penalty again for Alex Hansen being administered, and that's going to hurt his cause by a lot.
He's going to continue his fight, though, with Jan Stam for the battle for P-Last. Some say this is the most important battle of the championship. Others might disagree and say, well, actually, that's between Quinn Smith and Jeff Spangler. I would probably agree with them, but this is for the real honor points. This is for the battle for P-Last. And again, this is the last race of the championship. And Saagar, you know the saying, you're only as good as your last race. Okay, I'll stop leading it on that. This is still, I'm not being that rude. This is still just a fun battle all the way around. This is one of the things I love about community racing, though, is it doesn't matter where you are on the grid, you still have somebody to race with. And Alex Hansen down in P-Last with Jan Stam, and they're fighting it out with Phil Lee, not too far out of the equation either. So this could even be a three-way fight in the near future. Alex Hansen, even with the drive-through penalty, giving it his all and giving her the beans, and Jan Stam finds the barrier himself. And Alex Hansen, well, he gets gifted the position for free, but still has to have a drive-through, so it wouldn't surprise me if those two meet again.
And that's the second time that Jan Stam's had that same incident at turn 11. I don't know how many times he's going to repeat that same error. It's like we've seen a lot of the drivers just get on throttle a little bit too soon, and that was definitely the case there. Getting that tank slapper, sending his car around. Alex Hansen now coming in to serve that drive-through penalty. No, it doesn't look like he will, not this time around. But one of the highlights, like you said, Mike Nause, is one of my favorite things about these championships is Doesn't matter how many drive-through penalties you got. Doesn't matter how many incidences that you've been involved in, whether self-inflicted or not. You still have someone to battle with, someone to chase out on track. And that's what keeps a lot of these drivers motivated to keep driving around this circuit by themselves, knowing that they'll catch back up to someone because some mistakes will happen to some drivers, or maybe the race will just come to them in some fashion. And we're seeing that time and time again. And Jan Stam having that other incident will send him back further down the pack. But now Alex Hansen has another challenger in front of him. That's going to be Phil Lee. And he's only 11 seconds away from them. And he's doing about 0.2 of a lap faster. And there goes Rally Dutchy after he was involved in an accident with, I think, Thiago Denarte, it looks like.
Yeah, Rally, brother. You gotta let that one go. Oh, man. I saw that one coming from a mile away. I think everyone, you were talking, but everyone, if you saw my reaction on that one, yeah, that was, I hate to be right. That's all I have to say. I wish I wasn't right in that case. I unfortunately was. And, yeah, that was rather unfortunate from Rally Dutchy, and rather unfortunate for Thiago Denarte. Thankfully, it doesn't affect his position.
Oh, I just saw the replay of that. Absolutely, yeah. Yellow flags, Peppo yellow flags out in chat for that incident for sure. But like you said, Thiago Denarte doing a good job driving this one forward. Thankfully, not affecting his positions overall, but Rally Dutchy getting the worst of that one, trying to drift it the long way around side of turn, I believe that was turn 10 or turn 9, it looked like, and just getting it all wrong there.
Yeah.
It was one of them.
Yeah, like I say, that's one of those incidents that, like I said, I don't want to talk about too much because, like, you just got to learn from it. I mean, that's just one that you just learn from. As a back marker, you got to be a bit more aware of the part of the circuit that you're at and the people that you're racing. And in these wet conditions, you get offline, you're pushing a little too hard, the back end turns around on you, and you end up taking out 7th place when you're a little bit further back than that. And, you know, like I said, enough said on that one. So we'll just let that go and continue with the battle with Andre Alex Afonso and Anthony Kelly here for 13th position as they, oh my goodness, holy smokes, Andre Alex Afonso. And talk about needing a new pair of racing trousers. That was close.
That was awfully close indeed, for sure. And this is the first time we've seen Andre Alex Alfonso get a little too close to his compatriot. He is chasing down Anthony Kelly right now. The gap was a lot closer than 1.5 seconds that we see right now. But now it is up to that 1 second gap, 1.5 second gap. And let's talk about the drivers who have not taken their pit stops yet. So that'll be Jeff Spangler, Emirates, Quinn Smith, Kenneth Portis, Hunter Davis, Casey Schutte, Bruno Pio, and Rogerio Santos.
Yeah, so Thiago Denarte, actually, now that we're taking a look at it, he's in a very good position, considering the fact that he's made his stop. He's already been collided into. Is he on for a podium here? Just looking at, I mean, I don't think so. We're talking about, what, 36 seconds, 32 seconds for a pit stop that we're looking at. So, yeah, maybe not. Yeah. Thiago Denarte, though, excellent effort all the way around.
Yeah, driving this one forward for sure. He's the first of the pit stoppers right now. He did decide to take tires, 32.6 seconds stationary, 29.4 second transient. Did a great job of getting that pit stop executed almost to perfection. Just 2.6 seconds in delay there potentially, but can't get him perfect all the time, that's for sure. You got to count the jack up, jack down time. Andre Alex Alfonso now on the rear wing of Anthony Kelly from Fear Nothing Moto, about 0.4 of a second, and you can see a little bit of damage there on the rear end of that Anthony Kelly F&M car, but I'm not sure who that came from, but that thing is awfully scuffed up. Andre Alex Alfonso chopping out at the wheel like he is taking down a cherry tree, just like our brother Abraham Lincoln, and not the Copper Penny Man that we were looking at. And there goes a big wiggle from Anthony Kelly. And Andre Alex Alfonso did a great job of avoiding that contact. The 999 holding on to P14 right now, chasing down the 13th spot in the number 7 of Anthony Kelly from Fear Nothing Moto. They're about 24.2 seconds away from Kevin Yu. And then we've got about 10-second gaps all around. Next closest battle out on track would, of course, be the Rogerio Santos-Ramon Torres battle, but we're not looking at that. We're staying on board with the Andre Alex Alfonso and Anthony Kelly battle headed towards turn 1 right now. You can hear that GTR just really downshift its vehicle and get onto the brakes as heavy as possible as we approach turn 1A, or 1B, I should call it. And now we head towards turn 2. It looks like Anthony Kelly's not even worried about Andre Alex Alfonso looking around in the background. He should be, though, as Andre gets really close there at turn 2 and through the kink of turn 3, holding on very well. The gap is now 0.4 of a second. Rally Dutchy going off in the background on track, but holding on and getting it cleared right away.
Yeah, and, you know, great comment in chat here from the YouTube side of things. The Real Ghost, saying that, yes, we are a little, or I am in particular, a little bit clueless about this circuit. Fair enough. Now, if you have any useful constructive criticism to throw our way, that would be absolutely incredible as well. A nice move there from Andre Alex Alfonso. Well, potentially. I don't think this is intentionally a move whatsoever, but he gets it done either way. Anthony Kelly kind of caught sleeping at the wheel on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Great move going into the chicane, or on the exit, was able to produce something out of it. And that's where it really mattered, getting it set up through turns 9, 10, 11, and on their way down towards turn 12. It looks like a flashy of the headlights, so that might have just been caught in the leaderboard there from the almost hip check or near hip check that Andre Alex Alfonso did on Anthony Kelly. But I assumed that the cars were clear of each other when he drifted over to the right-hand side before turn 9 and did a great job of driving this one forward. He's carrying a lot of pace beneath him as well. He's doing 153.2s compared to the 153.6 of Anthony Kelly. So it's about time he was able to get by and just drive his own race right now. The number 13th place car is that 999 of Andre Alex Alfonso, leading Anthony Kelly in 14th place. 1.5 second gap between the two cars.
Yeah, and he's just going to be trying to work his magic here, or anything he can at this stage, to gain any stretch of points, and still no one pulling the trigger just yet from the top runners. We're going to be seeing pretty much down into the final 10 minutes where everyone goes for their stops. And that means that we're not going to see too much difference in strategy when it comes down to it. And Quinn Smith, 16 seconds is not something that's easy to make up. And Jeff Spangler has a, well, candidate in between them, Emirates still. It's looking like the Jeff Spangler show tonight. And Jeff, he did have a good run on the championship. He almost had it sealed up. But with a poor race last week, it put him into contention, and now he was even neck and neck with Quinn coming into this, and this time around it seems that Jeff Spangler has done what is required to get the work in here. And Lateral G, welcome to the channel. Been a while since you tuned in. Indeed, I have not seen that name around chat or in the racing scene, so glad to have you around. Welcome back, and AV6 Scott as well.
Welcome back for sure. Thank you very much, Midwest FPS, for being here. Thank you very much for showing up. As always, you're a dedicated fan of the TRACKILICIOUS team now. I always look forward to seeing your name. Jeff Spangler right now leading Emirates by only 6.5 seconds. So that gap has tumbled down from around 10.5 seconds to 6.5 seconds. That doesn't mean that Quinn Smith has anything to do with it. He's 11.9 seconds adrift from Emirates. So like you said, Mike Nause, 16 seconds total, or 18 seconds about, off the leader of Jeff Spangler, and hopefully with some free air. There goes Andre Alex Alfonso off in the background. Man, as soon as he got by Anthony Kelly, he goes off again towards the end of turn 13, and that'll be it for his efforts right now. He might need to consider coming into the pit lane next lap around to get some tires replaced.
Yeah, a bit gutting there, and I don't think he's going to need it. It was a light spin. It's also wet. He doesn't got much traction. New tires. Come on. This isn't the 90-degree track temp that we're seeing over at Bathurst or whatever. It's a slip and slide on circuit as is, and as soon as you get off the track, it's even more so. Andre there, more of I think, a hit to his pride than anything else.
That's true. The track temperature is awfully cool. It's 17 degrees Celsius for the track and 17 degrees for the ambient. So it has come down by just a degree. I thought it was 13 degrees when we started, but no, it started off at 18 degrees, only come down by 1. So track is cooling a little bit and maybe affecting the driver's temperature strategy right now. But you're right. Andre Alex Alfonso not necessarily needing to come in. You're absolutely right. It's definitely not 30 degrees Celsius, definitely not 40 degrees Celsius. Like we plan on seeing for the Sunny Zandvoort race. That'll be a hot race for sure.
Yeah, that'll be something to keep an eye on, and that will be tomorrow night wait, no, it's Nürburgring. What am I talking about tomorrow night? Yes, of course. Anyways, moving on swiftly from the lapse in judgment of my brain, I have commentated again 7 races today, chat, and And I am tired. Noobs R Us official with a rating party of 11. Welcome, Raiders. Hope you guys had a great stream. You're joining us here in the final 10 minutes of the GT3 championships. Lizzie needs help. Oh no. I hope everything's good. No, I'm assuming that just is a hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to what is, again, the finals between Jeff Spangler and Quinn Smith. The head-to-head fight, equal on points coming into this championship. And it seems that Jeff Spangler is gone off as I'm speaking. The drama could not be higher. Jeff Spangler has binned it on lap 37, and Emirates gets by Quinn Smith. He is not in the conversation right now. Quinn Smith is a bit too far back, but we do have a new race leader. And what does this prove, Saagar? This proves that Jeff Spangler is human.
Anything could happen in the final 10 minutes of this race. Jeff Spangler is a human being after all. He is not from outer space. He is not from another planet. This is going to be very intense. 2.8 second gap for Emirates to Jeff Spangler right now. But the more important conversation to have is how much time that Jeff Spangler ended up losing to Quinn Smith. A gap that was almost 17 seconds, now down to 11.5 seconds to Quinn Smith. Not to mention the damage that he might have incurred or any tire wear that he might be facing right now due to that drift of his. Of course, we just talked about it. The track temperature is pretty low right now, but of course, it's all coming down to the final 10 minutes. This is exactly what we paid to see, everybody. This is the action that we all wanted to see. The battle between Jeff Spangler and Quinn Smith out on track. Let's see if Quinn can perform right now. 152.8 compared to a 2-minute lap from Jeff Spangler having that big oof of a moment. Let's see if he has any more going forward. We'll keep an eye on the lap timing for you guys so you don't have to.
We will indeed, and I'm just trying to take a look at Emirates right now because I'm thinking this is Emirates' first win of the championship, but I can't even find his name because I don't think he's finished a race just yet. He had the DNF last week, unfortunately, which I should say. Oh, there's a second page here to this tab. That might help me find that. But yes, if that doesn't prove that exclamation mark curse is an actual thing, then I don't know what does, because I did just start mentioning his name, and yes, he did immediately get binned, so, yeah, you can blame me on that one, I'll just be completely honest. But, hey, either way, puts a little bit more interest on the cards here. Quinn Smith, he's still 11.5 seconds, though, off of the back of Jeff. But the pit phase will be interesting. Now, obviously, even the fact that we saw Jeff come in, he's going to have some issues with his tires, and he's going to be trying to haul it around. There's still 11 seconds, which means that Quinn needs to make up more than 1 second every single lap. I don't expect Jeff to take any repairs in pit stop, even if he hit the barrier. I went on board there briefly, saw that the wheel was straight, and that's all that Jeff is going to care about. As long as that all 4 tires are pointing relatively in the correct direction, Jeff Spangler is going to be green, green, green all the way to the end. And Quinn Smith, he's going to be struggling to catch up, but again, Jeff Spangler, we know he's human, we've seen the mistake. Is he going to make another one, and will that put Quinn right into the conversation? It very well may, but 7 minutes and 50 seconds left. This is the time to decide.
It's time to decide. Let's see what Jeff Spangler is able to produce when he gets to the line finally. A 151.822. Wow, he is true to his form. He is back on pace immediately after that big spin. He is doing a great job keeping that McLaren driving forward despite having that big old spin. It was super surprising to see. Most drivers need at least a lap or two to shake it off before they get back to their racing pace. But no, Jeff Spangler is a true professional at this. He doesn't need a lap or two. He just needed that one redemption lap, and he's back on the pace, almost doing identical laps to Emirates right now. 151.6 out of him, 152.3 out of Quinn Smith. So we don't see Quinn getting that 1 second a lap that he actually needs to produce right now. We've got 7 minutes left on the clock right now, and it looks like a lot of drivers still have to take their pit stops, so it might come down to a pit stop strategy. And if anybody ends up fumbling that ball, well, time will only tell.
Yeah, I wouldn't say at this point, just come down to pit stop mistakes more like it. The strategy is the exact same right now because both drivers are pitting on what seems to be the last lap as, yeah, Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other options at this point. Emirates isn't going to pit on this one, or maybe he is, but we're down to the wire at this point, and the strategy has all fallen into place. Thiago Denartes is the driver that I kept my eye on from the start here, and he really has done a great job in strategy, and he's going to find himself a free position over Kenneth Portis II, and right on the bottom step of the podium, looking like the best of the rest, despite the fact that he was involved with that spin earlier. I think if he didn't get collected by what was, I think, Rally Dutchy, then he might have even been in for a podium conversation just due to the fact that Quinn's pace is not quite there, and Thiago Denartes' fastest lap of the session.
Wow, a 150.120. What kind of tires is he driving right now? He is seemingly on the same wet compound tires of everybody else, but to be able to pull out the fastest lap of the race with guys like Kenneth Portis, Quinn Smith, Jeff Spangler, and Emirates in the lobby with you, man, that's something to definitely take home with you. That's some pride-gaining movements right there. And he's faster than anybody behind him for sure by a mile, at least 1.9 seconds right now between them. But in front of him as well, he's gaining time on Kenneth Portis II by around a second a lap. He did elect to take tires already, so he will get that one free position on Kenneth Portis and perhaps even gain two, and potentially gaining one over Quinn Smith if the pace keeps on going his way. Quinn Smith with 152.4s compared to the 151.3 of Thiago's.
The math doesn't seem to be in the favor there for Thiago against Quinn, but certainly against Kenneth. And yeah, he is the only driver in the sea of the drivers in the top 10 that took his tires. So going for a different strategy amongst everyone else, and it seems like it has worked out for him. Now, if everyone else was on the strategy, well, I don't know what would have happened, obviously, but this is the hypothetical world we live in, and Thiago, he's living in reality right now with an incredible result. He's equal to where he started in 5th position. However, he is going to get that position for free as soon as Kenneth Portis decides to pit. And that is a lot of effort for a good position gain for a little effort. And whoa, that was Anthony Kelly, who has found a trip to the other side.
Was that the number 7 of Anthony Kelly? It sure was, finding a trip down memory lane and finding a close wall there at the number 7 and holding on very well. There goes Bruno Pio finally into the pits, that number 111 taking his pit stop strategy almost on the last lap. 4 minutes remaining in this race. There goes Emirates into the pits right now. Our race leader, the number 1, now into 2nd position overall. Quinn Smith will pass him here very shortly. And let's see the strategy. Splash and dash. Simple as it gets, Mike Nause. You're absolutely right. You call this one from the straightaway. And Emirates doing the best of them. Let's see how long that stationary stop ended up being. But he's right now crossing the line in just a few moments. And he'll be tumbling out of pit lane.
Chat, if you pit on the final lap and your pit stall is in front of the line and you cross the line halfway through, does that finish the race? I'm asking for a friend, in case anyone's curious. Please let me know if you know that. Are we gonna see?
Well, you'd get a penalty for not serving your pit stop.
No, but if your pit box is in front of the line.
Oh, if your pit box is in front of the line,
that's my question.
Stop.
Is that what we're seeing here? I think that's what we're seeing from Jeff and Quinn. I don't know what the stewards will let that go. I don't either, Lateral, but I mean, we're down to the point where these two drivers have to pit, and there's only, 2 laps left, so they're either going to pit on this lap, or they're going to pit on the last lap, so it's a 50-50. I'm assuming they're going to pit on this lap, but maybe these drivers know something that we don't, and are going for a bit of a cheeky strategy. Now, obviously, I'm just the commentator, I'm just speaking in hypothetical loops, and it might just, he is more than likely just going to come into pit lane at the end of this lap, is the honest answer, but if he doesn't,
boy, if he doesn't, Mike Nause sure would have called it there, but Jeff Spangler into the pit lane right away. That number 9 snapping back, and Quinn Smith will have to respond on this lap as well, I could only presume. Or will he stay out? Actually, no, giving us a little bit of a tease there to the 66, shaking things up and just going to the line at the last possible moment, hitting the pit limiter, and he's coming over to his stall right now. And Emirates will re-inherit the lead of this race in just a couple of moments.
We'll take a look at Quinn, make sure that he hits his marks here. We didn't take a look at Jeff to see if he did. Jeff, though, did he take tires? No, he didn't. No, 5.4 seconds. Or no, Jeff, 6.4 seconds. There we go. So he's out without too much of a fuss. 28.9, exact same time into pit lane and out of pit lane as Emirates. Quinn Smith, not enough.
Definitely not enough. 7.5 stationary for Quinn Smith, 29.1 transit time overall. Third place for Quinn Smith right now. Jeff Spangler's in second, and Emirates is going to take the race win in P1. 1 minute left on the clock. Will we get another +1? I don't think so. I think this might be the final one. I think the fat lady has started to sing. I think the bell is ringing right now, Mike.
Yep, it certainly is. We are 50 seconds left. We are 49 seconds complete on a 1 minute and 50-second lap. So it is going to be the writing on the wall. 6.48 to repair. He didn't repair, I'm assuming. That was just fuel time. 5.4 for Emirates, 6.4 for Jeff, and 7.1 for Quinn. So if anything, Quinn maybe had a repair, but either way, it wasn't going to make a difference at the end of the day. Jeff Spangler did enough. He's going to finish ahead of Quinn Smith by about 15.5 seconds. But Emirates, not debut, but what's the word I'm looking for? First victory. That's sure.
Premier victory.
Also not the word I'm going for, but it'll work. What word am I looking? Anyways, it is going to be the first race win for the #1 car in this championship. And barring the connection issues they had last week, barring the challenges they've had throughout the entirety of not just this season, but the past, the maiden victory, as Oven has thankfully found for me, Emirates takes home #1 in the #1 and takes it home for the UAE. Flying high in the sky, Emirates, he gets it done. Jeff Spangler comes home in second. Quinn Smith with third position and second place overall in the standings. Jeff Spangler, your new TRACKILICIOUS GT3 champion, everybody.
And boy, this race delivered for the entire 120 minutes. 80-minute race that this was. This was absolutely phenomenal all the way from the start. Seeing Emirates battle with Quinn Smith all race long pretty much, and then watching Jeff Spangler have that scary moment just slipping and sliding all over the track. But now he is the TRACKILICIOUS champion. He is on top of the world, and boy, I can't wait to talk to him in the broadcast booth, Mike.
Yeah, and is deliberately spinning. No, it's not a rule. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do donuts. You're allowed chat. It's fine. It's fine. He's all good. He's allowed to do the donuts. I know some leagues don't allow that. He has made it work for last corner yellows. No, he's good. I'm pretty sure he's done it. But again, all results are unofficial. We'll just put that little white text at the very bottom there, so nobody has any upset issues when they say, well, Mike said that. Yeah, look, everything I'm just saying the numbers, man. Like, look, don't take it with a grain of salt or something. I don't know. Saagar, back me up.
If I won a championship, I am doing donuts at the end of the start-finish straight for sure. And I don't care what kind of I would care what kind of penalty I would incur, obviously, but I would be happy to take it as long as it was for next season and not for the current race for sure. And I don't think
that's how penalties work.
Some of the penalties, like Eric Acostian, how did he get a 30-second penalty for this race from the previous race, right?
The pre-race briefing says not to. I don't care what the pre-race briefing said. And it's the championship winner.
Mike Nause said it was okay. So
I'm not a steward, to be fair. So I actually have absolutely zero input on this, but my unofficial ruling is that I'm good with it. You're allowed to do donuts when you win a championship. That's fine. Maybe not after a race. Honestly, I'm not really for doing donuts after a race. I like the Formula One way where you just kind of, you accept your win and you take it. But nah, you won the championship. Do some donuts. Celebrate. Smoke show, baby. Penalty for doing donuts is the due to anyways, no, he's fine. He's fine, chat. why don't we start to get ready here for some interviews as well, as Jeff Spangler's the only one in the room. I don't really want to just start with Jeff. I'd like to maybe start with Quinn or something, the guy that lost the championship, or even Emirates if he would like an interview, though I don't expect one from Emirates. In fact, you know what? Quinn is in the Discord. We're going to rudely drag him up anyways, so let's just do that. I don't really care. And Saagar, when do you think you've caught up here with Mr. Quinn Smith? Hey, Quinn.
Hello, Quinn Smith. How are you doing? Sorry to interrupt your conversation, but how are you, sir?
I'm good. You guys?
Living the dream. What an amazing battle you had pretty much all race long with a guy like Emirates. Talk to us a little bit about the pressure that you were feeling there for the first half of the race.
Honestly, none. I had pace. Just, tires didn't last. That's all it was. There was nothing I could do about that. So, yeah.
Well, it was a good battle that we saw between you and Emirates. Did any of that pressure have anything to do with you not being able to stay in touch with Jeff Spangler? Had you had a one-on-one battle, do you think you could have stayed a little bit closer there?
No, not at all. Not even close.
Oh, wow.
The tires wouldn't even came close. I mean, I was running 53s at the end. I had no tires by like 30 minutes into the race.
Oh, man. Was there anything that you think you could have done to change up the outcome of this race? Sorry to play the what if game with you, but I'm just curious, coulda, woulda, shouldas. Is there anything that you feel like you could have done a little bit differently? You still came home in P2 in the championship. Congratulations about that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Other than just getting the move finished at the first two corners, no, there's nothing really there. It's just a matter of just trying to hold the tires as long as I could, because I already knew my tires weren't lasting as long as the Ferrari or the McLaren.
Yeah, really unfortunate. And that just comes down to the car that you chose from the beginning of the season and the nature of the beast. Is that true?
Yeah, part of it.
And then what's the other part, Quinn?
You just gotta practice.
Skill issue.
Ah.
I'll sum it up there.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much for answering my barrage of questions, Quinn Smith. P2 in the championship. You've done an amazing job entertaining us all season long. A lot of second place finishes, even more first place finishes, and a drop round of 9. You've got to feel good about yourself right now.
Oh yeah, strong season. No complaints. Overall strong season. So happy with that. I think I got the team championships with Shooty also, so pretty sure we got that also.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that as well. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank, or any part of your races in the season that we may have missed that you want to talk about before we try to grab Jeff Spangler?
Just the usual. I want to thank you guys and all the competitors that show up. I mean, couldn't do it without them, and we wouldn't be here without them and you guys as well.
Well, thank you very much, Quinn Smith. And we wouldn't be here without all of you drivers participating and putting on an amazing show for us. Thank you very much for making this finale one of the most exciting events at TRACKILICIOUS that I've seen in a very long time. This was something that I considered a nail biter all the way down to the end. And especially with Jeff Spangler spinning towards halfway through the race, this was very, very, very close. And I thought you almost had it in the bag. But thank you very much for your accolades, Quinn. Have a wonderful night and enjoy your champagne.
Hey, you guys too. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Last but not least for the interviews tonight, should I say certainly not least, as I just have hydrated and now have a very moist mouth. Okay, we're getting by that. As we have our winner, our champion, the one-time Jeff Spangler, everybody. Jeff, how does it feel to be the first-time TRACKILICIOUS champion here for you?
Oh, it feels absolutely amazing, guys. So happy. What a season it has been. Yeah, I'm so happy. That's really all I can say.
You made it very interesting. You brought it down to the wire with your finish in the previous race, getting that P11 as your drop round, and coming into the Hungaroring tied on points with Quinn Smith. You delivered the absolute best performance you could in qualifying, placing yourself onto pole position. What were the nerves like moving into that race?
The nerves actually weren't too bad. Surprisingly, I I think in quali, and I might not have been the only one. I think I expected the track to keep getting a little bit better than it did, and it really didn't. I think there was like 22 cars, so that I guess wasn't enough. And so I went out there and put down a good lap early on enough, and it was enough to hang on there. And people kept milling around the track, and we got closer and closer, and I was like, okay, I think this might stick. And yeah, then once it was over, I was like, well, that's the most important thing. Like, if you want to beat somebody, you got to start in front of them. You don't have to, but make it easiest on yourself. That's what you want to do. So was very, very happy with quali.
Yeah, and at the Hungaroring, especially qualifying, I think that's one of the things we mentioned at the top of the broadcast was so crucial for one of you to have into that championship fight. If you guys wanted to win, that was your best bet. But to be honest, when we got into the race session, you kind of just, I don't know, stampeded away there, Jeff. I don't know what you found, what you put in your Wheaties this morning. I don't know if it was goat milk, but you ended up with, I think, over a 15-second gap. Now, obviously, we won't mention that little spin that you had to the end. But beyond that little incident that showed that you were, in fact, human, it was a perfect race from you.
Yeah, it really was. I was thinking right before that happened, thankfully I haven't had any crazy backmarker things, and that was just really an unfortunate thing that happened there. Going into the chicane, I'm going to be as nice as I can. I'm not going to put anybody on blast, but you don't let somebody go there. You don't let somebody go there in the wet and in the dark. He threw in his blinker, and by the time I'm looking at the past him to see where I'm going to go, he puts on the brakes, and that's all it was. That's all it took. So we unfortunately cursed you on that one and watched every second of it on stream. So if you want to go back, Jeff, and watch my breakdown, it was pretty much in full agreement with the description that you had there. And I think enough said on that one. It was a mistake, and backmarkers will learn from that, I certainly hope. But thankfully, it didn't cost you too much at the end of the day. It was close. But either way, Jeff Spangler, before we move on, is there anybody that you would like to thank? Are there any final words that you would like to have for this championship finale? And I apologize. I don't mean to sour a happy thing. I got lucky there. Obviously it would have been great to win the race, but did enough in the end, and that's all that matters. So I just want to thank you guys for putting on these broadcasts all season. Thanks to Quinn and everyone else who really made the season what it was. What a way to finish it off. Just so happy.
Excellent. Jeff Spangler, everybody, your new TRACKILICIOUS champion, and soak it in, Jeff. Enjoy, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys. You too.
As the love in chat for Jeff Spangler rolls on and will throughout the night, the echoes of his name ever going to be chanted into the aeons of history. Okay, maybe I'm overselling this just slightly. Either way, Saagar, is there anything that you would like to conclude before we move on here for the end of the stream and raid Silent Scotty?
I just want to thank all of the viewers. I want to thank all of the drivers for a fantastic season of the GT3 Championship Fall. This has been an amazing season to be part of. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys have been amazing and wonderful fans, and the drivers have been even more fantastic. Showing up and showcasing their skill and watching them grow over an entire season has been another wonderful experience for me. So thank you, everybody, for this opportunity. And as always, don't forget to stay safe.
Indeed. And on that note, what a championship it's been. We'll be back tomorrow night for the season finale of the GT4 Rookies and the GT4 Open. Definitely add that to your calendar. Do not miss it. But until then, I hope everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.